Hi, welcome to the Accountability Initiative series on breaking down the budget. In this final video, we will walk you through the steps you need to follow when you're trying to compare budget numbers for a particular scheme across changing formats in different years. First, let us tackle the revenue capital distinction. If you look on your left-hand side in the older budgets, there appear to be no revenue capital figures specified for particular schemes. But actually, these figures can be found. The leftmost column specifies various accounting heads. These heads, which begin with 4 or 5, refer to capital heads, whereas heads which begin with 2 or 3 refer to revenue heads. For example, if you look at line item number 5, you will find the Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana. Here, you will notice two sub-items with heads 4210 and 4216. Since both these items begin with a 4, they refer to capital expenditure. For a comparison, we have placed both the formats side by side. Looking at the older budget, again at line item number 5, you will notice that the sum of the old revenue heads, that is 2210 and 2552, add up to the revenue figure in the new format on the right hand side. Similarly, the sum of the old capital heads 4210 and 4216 add up to the new capital figure on the right hand side. Second, the changing categories. Changing categories in the budgets has happened before. As an example, look at the budgets of 2015-16 on the left and 16-17 on the right. Though the categorization of the line items has changed between these 2 years, it is possible to identify corresponding items. For example, line item number 5 on the right is the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. This corresponds to line items number 7 and 19.02 on the left. Identifying these corresponding line items usually takes some amount of patience. At the end of every budget document, there are notes provided. Referring to these notes also helps when you're trying to identify if any schemes have been merged, changed, or discontinued. One more thing to keep in mind is that some schemes may be broken up across the 6 major categories. For example, consider a fictitious welfare of children scheme which consists of the following 3 components. First, scholarships for disadvantaged children. Second, funding of an All India Board of Children. And third, funding of residential hostels for children in states. Scholarships being run entirely by the union government will move to category 2 or central sector schemes. The All India Board of Children, being an autonomous body, will move to category 3, other central expenditure. And finally, residential hostels need to be constructed by the state governments and so will move to category 4, CSSs. The last major change to note is the change in how schemes are presented. Some schemes are funded from specific purpose funds which have been established. For example, the education cess goes into a fund called the Prarambhik Shiksha Kosh, which partly funds the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Earlier, the formats in which these funds were described varied across schemes. For example, if you look at the first scheme on the left, the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, you will find a large negative number for the amount being met from the Central Road Fund. If you want to find the total allocation to the scheme, you will have to add the net number 5016 crores to the amount being met from the Road Fund minus 13,984 crores to get a total of 19,000 crore rupees. However, if you look at the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, the second scheme on the left, you will see no such negative numbers. The new format will standardize the presentation of these schemes. Allocations from specific funds or from external sources called EAP will all be mentioned as subcomponents of a particular scheme. So, when you see a number which says total Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, the chances are good that it will indeed be a total. Other changes to remember include the merging of the railway budget with the union budget. Allocations for specific categories of people like scheduled castes or scheduled tribes used to be made from overall plan allocations which no longer exist. Therefore, it is likely that these allocations will be made as a proportion of the total budget instead. Here are also some budget documents to help you keep track of these changes. The key to the budget documents presents a terse and somewhat jargon-heavy but a comprehensive explanation of all the different documents in the budget. Secondly, Statement 16A in the Expenditure Budget Volume 1 is entitled Central Assistance for State and Centrally Sponsored Schemes. This statement contains a list of centrally sponsored schemes and is useful to identify the so-called umbrella schemes and the different schemes which comprise them. Although the funding numbers in this document are usually not very reliable, it is still useful to identify the schemes being administered by the union government. Finally, a new statement called the concordance tables was published last year when significant changes were also made to budget formats. This document shows a correspondence between the line items in the old formats with the new formats. If this document is published again this year, it will help keep track of any changes which may have happened in line items in specific documents. We hope this video will better help you understand the changes in budget documents and account for them if you're trying to compare allocations across years. Thank you for watching.